Okay, and good morning, everyone. So I think it's at 10:06. We'll start early. So we are in replication topic, Andy. So in this topic, we discussed about snapshot creation, transaction replication, and merge replication. So prerequisites for those, and then configuration, working architecture. And apart from those, we also discussed about how to add a new table in existing replication, how to remove table from existing replication. So these are the things we discussed so far for replication. In today's class, we will discuss about patching, how to apply the patches on the replication configured servers and issues and troubleshooting. And then finally, you can go with interview question answers. Okay. So we configure transaction replications between Node 1 server and Node 2 server. So Node 1 we use it as a publisher, and Node 2 server we are using as a subscriber server. So if you want to apply the patches on these two servers, so again the procedure is same, informing to the users and getting the approval and noting all this information, taking the backup. So everything is common. So now we can directly go with the patching steps. Okay. After completing all the prerequisites, so we have to log into the subscriber server. Okay. So always we need to apply the patches first on DR servers or maybe secondary servers or standby servers. So it's not only applicable for replication, it is applicable for all high availability and disaster recovery solution. Whether it is a log shipping, mirroring, or replication or always on, always we need to select the secondary DR servers. Okay, so we have to select the DR servers and we need to apply the patches on the DR servers. In our case, Node2 is our DR server, but in replication terminology, we can call it as a subscriber DB. Okay, so many organizations, so they prefer to disable all the agents before applying the patches. We can disable if you want, or some organizations they took the downtime and they will do it in out of business hours. That's the reason they don't prefer to stop the jobs. Okay, but best practices, you can stop or disable the jobs. We already know that how to disable. Go to the job and then click disable. So once disable, so then there is no chances of a data replication between uh, publisher to subscriber DB. Okay, so it's an optional. So if you want to do that, you can disable, but before starting the patching. Okay, so once you disable the agents, then we have to select the subscriber server, and we need to apply the patches on the subscriber server. Once apply the patches on the subscriber server and everything is fine, we have to reboot the server. We need to reboot the server. Once reboot the server, then after reboot it back to online, then we have to go to the Node 1 server and we need to apply the patches on the Node 1 server. Okay, so we need to apply the patches on Node 1 server and we need to reboot the server, and after server back to online, we need to enable all replication jobs. Right? So very simple. So selecting the subscriber before doing that, disable the jobs and applying the patches on the subscriber server, and then go to the publisher server and apply the patches on the publisher server, and we have to enable all the jobs. Right? So those are the steps we need to follow for applying the patches on the replication configured servers. Okay, so if we clear about it, now we'll move into the troubleshooting part. Okay, so when it comes to the troubleshooting, first you have to understand what are the dependencies on the replication. Based on the dependencies, and if the dependencies are not working, or those times we'll have the problems on replication. Right, so the first one is that, so we'll see the dependencies for replication depend on many things. Replication depend on the agent services, depend on the publisher server, subscriber server, depend on the network folder, depend on the agent services, and also so these are the main dependencies. Assume that the publisher server is down for any reason, a replication won't work. Subscriber server is down, again it won't work. Agent services are not running on either of the server, again the replication will not work. And maybe SQL Server agent services lost in the permissions on the network folder, that will also create a problem. Okay, and the next one is the network folder. If network folder is completely filled or maybe completely filled, again, so we cannot add new data into the the particular folder, again it will cause the problem, right? So apart from this, again, database, the publisher database completely full, or maybe data file completely full, or maybe log file full, or in the subscriber DB data file full or log file full. Again, this will also create a problem. So the first thing, so when these are the dependencies for replication. So when we have a problem, we have to verify these dependencies whether all are in healthy state or not. Okay. The next step is that where we need to find the reason for replication failure. Okay. So we can use the SQL Server error log. SQL Server error log is the main place to look into the errors. Always we need to verify the SQL Server error logs. We already know that how to read SQL Server error logs, right? So always we have to prepare to read the SQL Server error logs to identify the errors. Okay, and we can also use the agent history. Agent is very similar, very identical to the Java. So we have to verify the agent history. Agent history also we can find the errors or maybe warning why the job is failed, the kind of information we can see that. And the third one is that we can use the replication monitor. You can also use the replication monitor to identify the errors. Okay, right. So if you wanna verify the SQL Server error logs, we can go to management. Under management, you can see SQL Server error log. Double click on it and we can read the error log. If you want to read error logs through command, the command is take a new query on the master database, sp underscore, and read error log. So here we can see the different options, like we can use the filter, we can search the error number, we can use the different options: start date, end date, message content text, source, instance name, event ID, username. So once specify the whatever information you are looking, and then enable apply button and click OK. So that way we can easily verify the SQL Server errors. This is the one place to identifying the errors, verifying the errors. The second one is that agent history. We already know that based on the replication configuration, agents will created in SQL Server. So for example, if you want to look for snapshot agent, can go to view history. Here we can see the success or failure information, right? So the second place is the agent history. The third one is the replication monitor. So we can open launch replication monitor. Here we can see that. Okay. Here we can also see the errors information. There is no errors. If there is any errors, those error information you can see under this window. All right. So these are the three places for verifying the errors information. So based on the errors, we can go for troubleshooting. If server full, if agent service is down, we need to restart. If a publisher server is down, we have to restart. And if your permissions are losing on the network folder, we need to assign the permission, right? So based on the error information, we can troubleshoot and we can give the solution. Right. Now we are clear about what are the dependencies for replication failure and what are the places we need to look for errors. Right. Now we'll create one or two demos for the replication troubleshooting. So especially there might be problem on the transaction replication. This is very common issue, and we'll also get this question in interview point of view. So when you're discussing about transactional replication, when you configure transaction replication, one of the important prerequisites for transaction replication is primary key is mandatory. Without primary key for on the table, we cannot add the table into transaction replication, right? So the primary key is very important. So what exactly the primary key, that we'll cover it in uh, performance tuning classes. Here, when you create a primary key in a table, on the particular table and whatever column we created primary key, we cannot insert the duplicate data. For example, we have an employee table. Employee ID should be unique. So It should not be null. It should not be the same. If you create a primary key and employee ID, it won't accept the null values. That's mean empty value, and the next it doesn't accept the duplicate data. Okay. So to maintaining the data uniqueness, we are using primary key, right? So and the primary key is mandatory for transactional replication. So for, what will happen sometimes? We generally, when you whatever data we are updated at publisher, those data will replicated to the subscriber. For example, employee ID 101 you are inserted at publisher. So the later the 101 record will updated to the subscriber, right? So a transaction replication is a continuous one way data movement, right? So we inserted 101 at publisher, the record transferred to the subscriber. And unfortunately, some of the app team or maybe some of the DB member created a new recorded subscriber. Okay, they created a new recorded subscriber DB, that is 102. So usually you should not do at subscriber, but all the changes will come from the publisher. But unfortunately, somebody did created did insert the new record 102 at subscriber. Okay, so later the same record we are trying to insert at we inserted at the publisher DB. So what happened when you insert the new record at publisher, the record will update it to the subscriber. That is the transaction replication process. So already record exists at subscriber, and the same record you are trying to insert from the publisher. So what will happen when insert the new record 102 at publisher, it will send to the distributor. From distributor agent will send to the subscriber. When data sending to the subscriber won't accept, because the 102 record is already exist in subscriber DB, and as per primary key valuation, as per primary key concept, it doesn't accept the duplicate value, and the record insert in at subscriber will fail. And when it is failed, the entire in the replication monitor we can see replication failed process, unhealthy and failed process. Okay, so this kind of problem we can call it as a primary key violation. So mainly it will happen in transaction replications. No need to worry for snapshot replication and merge replication, but primary key violation mainly happen in transactional replication. Clear? So problem because of primary key or some other publisher, subscriber, or permissions on the network or storage issue. So anything happen these things, we can see the failure notification information in Ripple monitor. Trying to insert the same trick, and then we'll troubleshoot when we'll see. So we configure a transaction replication on TranRipple database. Here we have tab 1. Tab 1 is part of transaction replication. Take a new query. So it has 101 and 102. Let me run the select statement on subscriber DB. Okay, so 101, 102, 103. 103 record already inserted by someone, some unknown person, 103. But this should not be happen in real-time environment. But unfortunately, somebody inserted 103 record. Okay, now we'll insert the 103 record from publisher DB. Insert into tab 1 values 103 CDC. Okay, so let me before that verify the replication process.
CDC, CYDL data.
Anything is fine. So because we created primary key on first column, that is employee ID. So this is important. CDC, and we'll verify the before inserting this value. We'll verify the replication monitor. Here we can see that the status is good. All status is good. Okay. So we are inserting 103 record. So as per transactional or transactional replication working architecture, whatever records we inserted from publisher, the records will information will track by the logger agent and it will send to the distributor database. Distributor agent will send the data from distributor database to subscriber. Okay, so that is the working architecture. So now insert the data. We inserted the data. Now if we run the select statement, here we can see 3 record, not 1, 1 or 2, 1 or 3. Okay. One or three STF. So generally, the 1 or 3 record comes to the subscriber, but it won't come run. It won't come because we created primary con S number. S number doesn't accept the duplicate value, and the replication will fail. Wait some time, we'll get the error message here. Here we can see that error message, error. We can see that error. So what exactly the error? So because there are many reasons for failing the replication process, but we have to understand. But in this case, so we know that primary key violation. If somebody created the kind of situation, we cannot say the problem because of primary key violation. There is a one reason for failing the replication is because of the primary key violation. Okay, here we can see that error state, and you see that double click on it, and here we can see the 3 different tabs: publisher to distributor, distributor to subscriber, and undistributed commands. Here we can see that one command is undistributed command. That means there are some commands are finding at publisher or distributor. Okay, and publisher to distributor, we don't see any error messages. That means whatever data, the 101 record, 103 record, we inserted publisher and it is replicated to the distributor, because we don't see any errors when transferring the data from publisher to distributor. No errors here. There is another tab, second tab, distributor to subscriber. Here we can see the error message. That means there is a problem mainly with the subscriber. Okay, so here we can see that error message. Once you click the error message, here we can see that violation of primary key constraint, PK cannot insert duplicate key in object DBO tab 1. The duplicate key value is 1 or 3. So it is given the clear information which table it has problem and which record it is creating the problem. Table is tab 1 and value is 1 or 3. So when you see this kind of error message, so we have to go to the subscriber and we need to verify whether 1 or 3 record exists as subscriber. If 1 or 3 record is existed subscriber, and we have to tell that application team already somebody inserted the 1 or 3 record, and the same record you are trying to insert from the subscriber, and So transaction replication doesn't accept the duplicate data. Because of that, the replication is failed. So for resolving the problem, what we need to do that, we need to remove the 103 recorded subscriber. If you remove that record, then the pending record 103 record will go to the subscriber and then issue will resolve. Right, so here when it is a problem because of the primary key violation, so we can see the clear information which table it has created problem and which record is creating the issue. Okay, so here we can also see the bottom like primary key violation cannot insert duplicate key in object tab 1, the duplicate key value is 1 or 3. Before 2008, we cannot get this kind of error messages in the replication monitor. We have to spend a lot of time for identifying the which record is creating the problem. We have to use some DMVs to finding that information. But from 2008 onwards, we can directly see that which object has the problem, which record is creating the problem. Everything we can easily we can see it in replication monitor, and it is very helpful to identifying the issue. Okay, so this this is because of the primary key violation. And again, if you click the undistributed commands, here we can see that how many commands are pending at either publisher or distributor. But this command now at this command is suspended at a distributor. So the record will transfer from publisher to distributor, but it is failed to send the data from distributor to subscriber. Okay, here we can see that how many records are pending at either publisher or distributor, and estimated time to apply these commands on the subscriber server. Okay, so the solution is that we have to remove that account at subscriber. For removing that account, we can use the graphical method tab 1. So just right click on the table, and we can also use the command. So if you want to use the GUI mode, right click on the table and then go to edit 200 rows, and then we'll get this window, and 1 or 3 and delete it, and just click directly. That's it. Okay, we deleted the recorded subscriber, and now run a new query. Let's start from. It will take some time to come to the record 103 record. Okay, now here we can see the status is okay. Now here we can see the running state. Publisher to distributor is running. Again, distributor to subscriber, it is in running state. And undistributed commands 0. I think this record now transferred to the subscriber. Now here we can see the 103 CDC record. So this is very common issue usually we'll encounter in real-time environment, because this is because of the primary key violation. If the replication is failed because of primary key violation, the kind of information you can find in replication monitor, which table it has a problem, and on which table is creating the which record is creating the problem, kind of information we can see in replication monitor. So once identify the record for resolving the problem, whatever record is creating the primary key violation, the record we need to remove from subscriber. Once you remove it, automatically the pending record will move to the subscriber, right? So this is very, very common issue in replication. Okay. So we have other two issues that we'll cover it in real-time scenario class. So the second reason for sometimes what happen, even if replication and everything is fine, I mean publish and subscriber everything is fine, sometimes replication will not work properly. In that case, what we can do then, we can reinitialize the replication. For reinitializing replication, right click on the publication, reinitialize all subscription. Okay, so that way we can reinitialize is kind of refresh of all agents. Okay, usually we need to prepare out of business hours. We should not do it at do it in business hours. When any reason replication is not working, maybe if you don't find the proper reason, and after verifying all dependencies and all dependencies are healthy and replication is not working, we prefer to do the reinitialization. It's a reinitialization in the sense it's a kind of refresh, restarting all agents which are involved in the replication. For doing that, right click, launch replication, reinitialize all subscriptions and make for reinitialization. That's it. When you've done that, so then the replication all agents will restart and then it will be running. It will be work like normal, right? So that is one of the ultimate solution we can say that. But the important point is that we should not prefer to do it on business servers, because when you do the business servers, it is taking a lot of resources and there is some impact on the business operation. So that is the reason we prefer to do it on out of business servers. Okay, so remaining two issues, so we will discuss in a real-time scenario. So here, when it comes to the troubleshooting part, so what are the uh, common reasons for failing the replication? If replication is failing, where we need to verify? And one demo is that primary key evaluation. This is because it is very common issue in transaction replication, right? So we already seen how to add table, how to remove table, and how to I mean only generating the snippet for a single article for not all articles. So that those two concepts we discussed in yesterday class. Okay, so that's all for transactional replication. If that's mean we completed overview, prerequisites, types of replication, configuration, tables adding, removing, patching, and then troubleshooting, issues and troubleshooting, and then finally we clear about all the things. Then we'll discuss the interview question answers. Okay. Okay, so this document, this topic is very useful for understanding the again entire body of entire concept, and again very useful for clearing the interview. Okay, the first question is that what are the agents in replication? Okay, agents will create based on the replication type. So when it comes to the entire replication, so mainly we can see four different type of agent. One is snapshot agent, log read agent, distribute agent, curate agent, and merge agent. So don't worry about curate agent. So there was another replication before 2012 that is called transaction replication with updatable subscription. When we selecting this one, so that time we can see the curate agent. Anyway, that was removed from SQL Server 2012 onwards. So no need to worry about curate agent. So mainly we can see from 2012 onwards, snapshot agent, log read agent, distribute agent, and merge agent. Snapshot agent we can see it in all replication types, and log read agent we can see it in transaction replication. Again, distribute agent also we can see in all replications, and merge agent we can see it in merge replication. Okay. So the next question is very important. Can we add an article to the existing publication without generating a data for all with all articles? Yes, we did a demo on this question yesterday. So yes, so when you get this question in interview point of view, we have to tell that yes, by default. So when you run the snapshot, snapshot is generating the data for all the articles. If you don't want to do that, we have to enable two options. Those are allow anonymous and immediate sync. By default, these are in true mode. We have to make them to false. When you make it false, then when you run the snapshot, after making these two parameters to false, and after run the snapshot, snapshot is only generating the data for newly created article, and it will exclude all existing articles. Very important entry question. So no need to remember an entire query. We have to remember two parameters: allow anonymous and immediate sync. By default, these are in true mode. We have to change to false mode before running the snapshot. So replication command. So we are managing most of the operations using replication monitor for finding information status. We can also use the internal commands like for publish the SQL ripple trans, ripple commands, SQL ripple monitor subscription. So these are all commands also we can use to find the same kind of information. So move to the next. Why is primary key needed in transaction replication? So primary keys mainly we are using to maintain the unique data. So to maintaining the uniqueness of the data in transaction replication, mainly we are using the primary key on the table. Even we don't use the merge replication because in merge replication it doesn't, when it does support whether the table as primary key or table doesn't have primary key. Because whenever you add a table in merge replication will create a unique column, unique identifier column to maintain the uniqueness of the data. So that is the reason merge replication doesn't need primary key. But when it comes to the transaction replication, so there is no concept of creating a unique column to maintain the uniqueness in a table data. So that is the reason to maintain the unique data in transaction replication, we have to use the primary key on a table. And what are the prerequisites for transaction replication? So here the main prerequisites for transaction replication is primary key. Without primary key, we cannot add table in transactional replication. So move to the next question. Can we add or drop a single article from a publication? If so, how? So we can drop and add at any time, but after adding a table, uh, we have to run the snapshot agent. If you want to use command, we can also use the commands for doing the same thing. sp drop article, sp add article, sp add article name, sp drop article name. Articles means tables or objects, stored procedure functions. So if you want to do the graphically, we have to go to the publication properties. The left side we can see articles, and once you click the articles tab, the left side the right side we can have an article tab. If you click the article, the left side we can see the all the articles information. So whatever article you want to add, we can enable. We can enable the checkbox, and then we have to click OK. And then after that we need to run the snapshot. If you want to remove, then we have to uncheck the particular article which you want to remove, and then we have to click OK. No need to run the snapshot. We can directly go to the subscriber and we can delete the table. So move to the next question. As per ripple counters. So using this command, this is also command store procedure we can say. As per ripple counters, statistics about latency throughout. If you remember yesterday class, we discussed about tracer tokens. Using the tracer tokens, we can see the latency, how fast, I mean, the information about how fast the information is transferring from publisher to distributor and distributor to subscriber. Latency information we can see using tracer tokens. If you want to get this information through command, we can use the sp_ ripple counters. Right. So move to the next question. What permissions are needed to user to monitor replication. By default, whoever having sysadmin privileges, they can open the replication monitor. They can open replication monitor. They can see all this information. So there is a one role in distribution database, a ripple monitor role. If you assign this role to any user, the user can also can open the replication monitor. For example, user requesting us to grant access to open replication monitor. So no need to give this admin privileges. We have to grant access on a distributed database, and we need to assign a ripple monitor role. If you assign this role, then the user can open the replication monitor. So for doing that, for example, let me security logins. Here we have a DVPRD user. So if you want to grant access to open replication monitor, go to user mapping and select the distribution database. Here in the we can see the ripple monitor system role. Click OK. Now this user can open replication monitor. Oh, that's me to to assign the ripple monitor. We can open the replication monitor. So move to the next question. Name some of commonly used replication DMVs and their use. So we have a separate class for DMVs. What DMVs? So what are the purpose we are using the DMVs? These are all the things we'll discuss in and in later classes. But using these DMVs, so there are many DMVs for replication. These are the few DMVs which we can use to identify the information. For example, we have sys.dm underscore ripple underscore article. Using this DMV, we can see the what are the articles are in for the replication, schemas, TRANS, transaction information. So for finding the what are the articles are participating in replication, we want to find sys.dm underscore ripple underscore articles, transaction information, what kind of data is moving or transferring or pending at published or distributed. So if you want to find, you can use the sysdm underscore ripple underscore tran info command. Okay. So don't worry, we have a separate class for DMVs. That time we'll discuss more about DMVs. So move to the next question. Can we rename a database used in publication or subscription? No. Once you configure high availability or disaster recovery solution, not only replication, any high availability or disaster recovery solution, once you configure any database, we cannot change the name on the database. So it is applicable for all high availability and disaster recovery solutions. So move to the next question. Are logins and passwords are replicated? No. Logins are not replicated on any high availability and disaster recovery solution, but users will replicate it in log sweeping, mirroring, and always. When it comes to the replication, a replication is a totally object level. When it is a replication, even logins, jobs, or again users won't replicate it from publisher to subscriber or production to secondary DS server. Okay, logins or password won't replicate it. A table locked during the snapshot generation. Right? So generally snapshot agent is creating an all replication. Snapshot agent mainly we are using for data initialization. When running the snapshot agent, so there is some impact on the business, because when running the snapshot, what will the snapshot agent will do? It will capture all the data from the publisher and it will place into the ripple folder. When accessing the data from the publisher table to place in the data in the ripple folder, the particular time it will assign the logs on the tables, those tables. When tables have log, so there is some impact on the business operation. So mainly when running the snapshot agent, until complete the snapshot generation, it won't release the logs. And there is another agent, log read agent. So when it comes to the log read agent, initially when capturing the data, in snapshot replication, we have three replication types mainly. Those are snapshot replication, transaction replication, and merge replication. Okay. So when it comes to this snapshot replication, so until copy all the data by the snapshot, it won't release the log. When it comes to the transaction replication, initial process. So when capturing the data from the publisher DB, only the particular time it will send the logs. Then after that, it will immediately release. But when it comes to the major replication, it won't impact anything when comparing with transaction replication and snapshot replication process. Okay. So the next important question is that what recovery model is required on replicated databases. So the replication process doesn't depend on the recovery model. Whether it is a full recovery model, bulk log recovery model, or simple recovery model, it won't impact. We can use any recovery model. Can multiple publications use the same distribution database? Yes. We can use one distributor for multiple replication configurations. No need to create a separate distribution database for replication. We can use one distribution database for multiple replications. Move to the next one. Does replication encrypt the data? No. For any concept, when it comes to the general procedure of any availability disaster recovery concept is copying or moving the data from one server to another server. So different methodologies those use. In log sweeping, we'll use the jobs log backup, and again, when it comes to the log sweeping, the data will not be encrypted while transferring or moving to the DR or the secondary servers. In mirroring and always on, the data will be transferred encrypted. That means cannot easily accessed by the hackers or some. Well, if you're trying to access the data, we cannot read all the data because it is in encrypted format. So when it comes to the replication, in replication also it is using the agent. The agent's log records, log data will transfer to the subscriber. Again, here it doesn't encrypt the data while moving from publisher to subscriber. Okay, so that's me no. And then move to the next question. What is the effect of running the bulk insert commands on replicated database? So mainly the bulk update operations will take longer time, mainly in transaction replication and merge replication. So when comparing with other normal database, it is taking longer time because the records needs to transfer to the subscriber, and so it's a little slowness when comparing with normal database. So move to the next question. Why can't I run truncate table on a published table? So here we have to understand two commands for deleting the data. One is truncate and the second one is the delete. Okay. So truncate won't work on replication configured databases, but only we can use the delete. The difference between delete and truncate. When using the delete, when running the delete command, so the data, I mean, when run the delete command will delete the data from the pages, but still those pages will allocated for the deleted data. Data will deleted, but pages still work for deleted data. When it comes to the truncate will delete the data as well as pages information, information, and again entire data will be deleted. And when you use the delete command information will be recorded in the LDF file. But when using the truncate command information will not recorded in the LDF file. Okay. So when it comes to the transactional process, mainly transaction replication, the log records will transfer from publisher to subscriber. Okay, if you delete the data, that information will recorded in the LDF file. That information will sent to the distributor, and from distributor, the data will send to the subscriber. When it comes to the truncate command won't write the information in LDF file. If not write in the LDF file, the data will not be replicated to the subscriber. Okay, so that is the reason. So because the transaction replication process mainly depend on the LDF file, truncate command will not write information, will not write any information in LDF file. So because of this reason, the truncate command won't work for transaction replication tables. Okay. How do we move or rename files for database involved in replication? So we already discussed about file movement in backup and restore classes. How to move file from one location to another location. So how we are moving the files on normal database, the same procedure we can use it for replicated databases. There is no separate method. The same kind of method we can use it. So move to the next question. If I create a publication, if I create a publication with a one table as an article, and then change the schema of the published table, for example, by adding a column to the table, will the new schema ever be applied at the subscriber? The question is that already table as in transaction duplication. If we do any changes on the particular table, like adding another column or removing another column, adding or removing, when adding or removing the column on a replicated table, those changes will apply on the subscriber or not? Yes. If we do any changes on table which is participating in replication, those changes will apply on the subscriber. If you create a new column on a table, the column will also apply on the subscriber server. Okay, let's see this demo. Currently, select star from table as two column, S number and S name. Here you can go to design, right click on the table, click design. Okay, I'm creating a new column here, this department, and close it. Okay, now run the statement, select statement. Now we can see the S department column, new column added, but we did not add any data. Now this column should be added at subscriber as well. Wait some time. Into we added one column on tab 1 and tab 4. Go to the subscriber server and the select star from 1. It should come. It's not transferring. Publisher we can see value, but not in subscriber. Open the replication. Run the when you have this kind of problem, let me stop and run the local result. Well, the data should come to here. Let me run the snapshot. So when run the snapshot, it will capture all the data and it will apply into the subscriber. So this time we'll get the data. It's still running. Let's wait to complete. Yeah, completed. Now we can see the data. Okay, but we should not, I mean, we don't need to go for running the snapshot. The data should transfer through log reference. For some reasons, it's not transferred. Let me insert the new record. 7. HR we can see. HR we can see that. Let me create a column. Column should also replicate it to the subscriber. We added a new column and we are inserting the record. New column is SQL. Yeah, here we can see that the first time it's not happen some reason. Here we can see that we added a new column SAL. The column will automatically added it subscriber. This is the subscriber window. Right? That's mean if you add a new column, the column will automatically add it at subscriber. Again, if you delete column, the column will also delete it subscriber. The column level changes will happen in transaction replication as well as merge replication. Okay, if your replication that's the 19th question. And move to the 20th. How will you monitor replication activity and performance? So we can use the replication monitor that we can say Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. We can also use the T-SQL command. Either you can use T-SQL commands, you can also use a replication monitor to monitor the replication process. So move to the next question. Is there any need to stop activity on database when it is published? No. So no need to stop any activity. Automatically, whatever data comes to the publisher DB, those data are automatically transferred to the subscriber. So no need to stop any activity. Okay. So move to the next question. In transaction replication of table database, in table in a database, a publish is dropped. Will the table get dropped a subscriber? No. If you drop a table in publisher, the first of all, the first thing is that if table drop, we cannot drop a table. If the table is participating in replication, it won't allow us to drop a table. For example, table 1 and table 4 are participating in transaction replication. We are in publisher server. Right? If you're trying to delete this table or drop this table, we cannot do that. If you click OK, we'll get an error. Cannot drop the table tab 4 because it is being used for replication. Tab 5 is not participating in transaction replication. Any replication, we can delete this table. That means a table is participating in replication. It won't allow us to drop a table. Okay. So move to the next question. In transaction replication, if you drop a column in table in a database, what will happen to the column in the same table in database B? Right. If you add a column in publisher DB, the column will add into the subscriber. If you drop a column at publisher, the same column will also drop at subscriber. Okay, that means column changes will happen at the subscriber. So moving to the next question, is it possible to run multiple publication and different type of publication from the same distribution database? Yes. So as I said yesterday, replication is a heterogeneous, like it will support homogeneous as well as heterogeneous. That means we can configure SQL to SQL, we can also configure to SQL to Oracle, right? So that's mean so single distribution database, it supports homogeneous as well as heterogeneous. No need to create a separate distribution. Single distribution support multiple replication, multiple or different type of publications. So move to the next question. How do I rebuild indexes or tables in replicated databases? Like in the performance tuning classes, we will learn about what is the rebuilt indexes and what is the impact of how to do rebuilt indexes. These things we'll discuss. So that time we'll discuss. So when it comes to the how do I rebuild indexes or tables, how we are doing a normal database, the same way we can do it on replicated replication configure database. There is no separate mechanism for replicated databases. Okay. So move to the next question. How do I add or change indexes on publication and subscription? Like again, indexes comes under the performance tuning classes. So our next topic is performance tuning class. That time we'll discuss. Again, so there are mainly two different type of indexes: cluster indexes and non-cluster indexes. Cluster indexes and non-cluster indexes. So if you update cluster indexes on publisher, the changes will apply on the subscriber. But when it comes to the non-cluster indexes, by default, non-cluster indexes information are not updated at subscriber. Okay, but we have an option to enable. If you enable the that option, then non-cluster indexes changes will also apply on the subscriber. For doing that, we have to go to publication, properties, click articles. When you click articles, here we can see the option in the right corner, article properties. When you click this one, set properties for highlighted tables, set properties for all articles. Okay. Either of the option we have to select. Means if you want to do it for only specific tables, we can select the first option. If you want to do it for all the tables, then we have to select the second option. And here we can see the replicated properties, like what kind of information replicate, or we can restrict the data transfer or allow based on the properties. Here we can see that copy cluster index true. That means it will allow us. When it comes to the non-cluster indexes, when you create a non-cluster indexes, The indexes will not transfer to the subscriber. If you make it true, and then non-cluster indexes changes will also happen. Again, here we have a different properties. Collation, copy collation, cluster index, check constraint, foreign constraint. So here we can change it. Like sometimes they lost that. I mean, some data is not transferring to the subscriber. Is there any way we can transfer the data to the subscriber? So in that case, we can use the properties. Whether the properties exist here and properties exist here, then we can see that whether enable or disable options. We can do that. So different options here we can do that. Like insert here we can see that insert, update, delete, all the changes will happen. Right, we can restrict or allow to data transfer from publisher to subscriber by enabling or disabling these options. Okay. So move to the next question. How do you determine if the data at subscriber is synchronized with the data at the publisher? Like how we can do that? How we can, because after confirming the replication, we have to confirm that replication process works. For doing that, for doing this validation, we can depend on the replication monitor. The replication monitor, we can see the undistributed commands. Using the undistributed commands also, we can tell that whether is there any pending data at publisher or distributed. If there is any pending data, if you see it here, then we can say that the data is not fully not synced with the publisher DB. That's mean subscriber data is not fully synced with the publisher DB. Right? So we can also use the select count. Select count means we can run the select count at publisher. So for example, table contains 1000 record. We run the select count, then it will display the 1000 record. The same value is displaying at subscriber, then we can say that the same data is sync. That means we can use the commands to validating whether the same data exists at publisher and subscriber. It means the same data is exist, and we can say the both data is in sync. Okay. Using reports, replication monitor, or some custom scripts also, we can use it. Move to the next. How do I add table to an existing replication? We already seen how to do that. And the next one is that how do I remove table from publication? This is also we seen it yesterday. Okay. So how do we determine whether there are transactions or rows to be replicated? So there is a store procedure as score show pending changes, and the next one is that undistributed commands tab in a replication monitor. If you are using the replication monitor we can see undistributed commands. Okay, if we click the tab there, we can see the pending transactions information. If you want to use the command, this is the command restore procedure, we can use it. Okay, so move to the next one. Does replication work in conjunction with log zipping and database mirroring? Yes. Log zipping is compatible with log zipping, mirroring, always and clustering. So we can configure these configuration. For example, we configure mirroring or maybe always on any database. On the database, you can also configure a replication. It is conjunction with the all availability, all other availability and disaster recovery solutions. Okay, so does replication in conjunction with the clustering? Yes, we haven't discussed the clustering so far, so the later classes will see that. Again, we can also configure replication and cluster configure servers, right? So these are the question and answers, very useful for interview purpose. So that's all for our replication. I think we covered everything: value, prerequisites, type of replication, configuration, table adding, removing, patching, issues and troubleshooting, and interview question answers. Everything we covered. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. If you don't have anything for now, then we'll catch up now. We'll catch up on Monday, and Monday we'll start with performance. We'll start with performance tuning topic. Okay. So the only one pending topic in high availability and disaster recovery solutions is clustering. That I will cover it in after completing the entire course. So Monday we'll jump into the performance tuning classes. Okay. So Monday we'll firstly start with performance and troubleshooting classes. Very useful. So the performance tuning topic will nearly take 5 to 6 days, and clustering and the remaining real-time scenarios probably 10 to 12 days time. 10 to 12 classes will complete the entire course. Okay, Randy, so I hope you understand clearly. So if you don't have any questions, then we'll wrap up now and then we'll catch up on Monday at the same time at 10 a.m. Okay? Yeah, చెప్పండి.
అన్న అది ప్రైమరీ క్రియేట్ చేసుకుంటాం కదా టేబుల్స్ లో.
ఏంటండి?
ఆ టేబుల్స్ లో డేటాబేస్ లో టేబుల్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని ప్రైమరీ క్రియేట్ చేసుకున్నాం కదా మర్జ్ రిప్లికేషన్ లో. ప్రైమరీ ఎందుకు యూజ్ చేసుకుంటాం? మామూలు నార్మల్ టేబుల్ యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా.
ఎక్కడండి? ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ రిప్లికేషన్ లోనా?
అవునవును.
సో డేటా యూనిక్నెస్ అనమాట. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనకి ప్రైమరీ కీ అని పెట్టలేదు అనుకోండి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం ప్రైమరీ కీ అనేది అసైన్ చేయలేదు ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ రిప్లికేషన్ లో. మనం ఏం చేస్తాం అంటే ఇన్సర్ట్ అప్డేట్ డిలీట్, మనం జనరల్ గా ఇన్సర్ట్ అప్డేట్ డిలీట్ ఈ ఆపరేషన్స్ మెయిన్ గా మనం చేస్తాం అనమాట. సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం ఇన్సర్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు సేమ్ రికార్డ్ అనేది సబ్స్క్రైబర్ లో ఉందనుకోండి, అక్కడ అంటే డేటా మెయిన్ మనకి లేటర్ మనం చేయొచ్చు. సో జనరల్ గా ప్రైమరీ కాన్సెప్ట్ అనేది డేటా యూనిక్నెస్ కోసం మనం ప్రైమరీ కీస్ అనేది క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం అనమాట. సో సింపుల్ గా అలా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. మనం పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ట్యూనింగ్ క్లాసెస్ లో వీల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ మోర్ అబౌట్ ది ప్రైమరీ కీ కాన్సెప్ట్. ఓకే, సో మెర్జ్ రిప్లికేషన్ మనకి ఎందుకు అవసరం లేదంటే మెర్జ్ రిప్లికేషన్ లో అది ఇంటర్నల్ గా అది క్రియేట్ చేసుకుంటది అనమాట. సో మనకి మెర్జ్ రిప్లికేషన్ మనం ఏ టేబుల్ అయితే యాడ్ చేసామో దానికి ఒక యూనిక్ కీ అంటే డేటా యూనిక్నెస్ కోసం ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఒక క్రియేట్ చేసుకుంటుంది కాబట్టి ప్రైమరీ కీ అనేది అవసరం లేదు. బట్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ రిప్లికేషన్ వచ్చేసరికి ఇట్ డజంట్ క్రియేట్ internally the data uniqueness column. So that is the reason we have to create a primary key on transaction replication. When it comes to the snapshot replication it won't require, because snapshot replication means it is copying the entire data. Like it will take a fresh backup, like backup restore, we can simply say that. So freshly it will take the data from this snapshot, publish a DB, and it will place into the ripple folder, and the same data will be override on the subscriber. So that is the reason we don't do any regular modifications. It is overriding all the data whenever run the snapshot agent. So that is the reason we don't require the primary key for snapshot replication. Okay, any other questions, Andy? Okay, thank you, Andy. Thank you so much for joining. So have a nice day, and we'll catch up on Monday same time. Thank you, Andy.